Yeah, wait, before you go there, don't answer that question specifically. It's time for Zac's 53. Caveat, it's really Zac's 51. Why? Explain.
Because I projected at tight end and corner them to make external additions between now and Sunday.
So they're scouring the wires
Yes.
on Sunday when cuts all have to be in.
Yeah.
And they will be calling the best available corners and tight ends, bringing them in for workouts or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
And so there are two externals not yet in camp that will be on the 53. So what position do you want to start at with your 51?
You want to start at the top or the back?
Is it easy for you one way or another, Mike, graphically?
Whatever Zac wants to do.
Zac, you call the ball.
Okay, so running back, I got him taking the three standard running backs. I have Raheem Sanders making it as the third guy, and I have the rookie Carson Ryan making it as the fullback. The veteran Michael Burton, we just haven't seen him in camp.
No, it kind of tells you where they are on it.
And he's not. He didn't dress yesterday.
He did.
Yeah,
different.
So it's hard to say that he'll be on the team. Now, he's not subject to the waiver wire. They could bring him back if he's healthy, but we don't know where he is status-wise. At wide receiver, and here's where I only have them taking 5. I do not have Luke Floria making the team. And it's a hard decision, and he played his butt off, and everybody wants him to make the team. A 5th and 6th receiver has to play special teams, and I just don't know. I think Tylan Wallace is this team's special teams guy in utility. I think Luke Floria will play in the NFL this year. I think the Browns hope like crazy they can get him on the practice squad. I just could not project him in this 50.
That's a shame, too, because Bull has said on this show for 5 years, he's like, who's going to be the white guy on the Browns roster that plays wide receiver that everybody falls in love with that ends up getting cut because he should? And I guess
now he has played like he shouldn't be cut.
No, what does he have? 70% of our touchdowns in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean he's been awesome. So it's a hard one.
And there was another ball yesterday that it touched the grass as he was picking it up. Otherwise, you're going to cut a guy after a 3-touchdown game.
I just think the upgrades at wide receiver have shown the gap between what's here now and what was here before.
That's fair.
And I just think when you look at that bubble, as hard as it is, I think Luke probably ends up just on the wrong side of it.
So not even a practice squad? You don't think?
No,
practice squad, but he'll get poached.
This is based on Sunday at 4 o'clock, Jay.
Okay.
Last year, I think across the league,
do you want to make any distinctions for practice squad?
Yeah. So last year across the league,
squad? I mean,
for
they're
sure,
not going to just release him.
For sure. Last year across the league, there were 12 trades made in and around the waiver day, and the Browns weren't 2 of them. They picked up KT Leviston. They moved on from Kenny Pickett. So teams get on the phone and do that.
And
you can
that's
help
pre-cut.
Pre-cut, yeah. Okay. And so what happens is the cuts are due by Sunday at 4, and then Monday at noon is the first run of the waiver wire, and that's when you can add the practice squad. So every player who's not a vested veteran who gets cut is subject to the waiver wire for 20 hours, and then you can add them back to the practice squad.
Wow. So he'll get picked up.
And you can have 6 players on the practice squad who have any experience level, and then 10 would be 2 years or fewer, which Luke falls into.
Right, exactly. Okay.
So that's
all right. So
that's the roadmap.
Your receivers are
Judy Tillman or Judy Concepcion, Boston, Bond, and Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace is a roster lock. That's where it gets tough for Luke Floria.
Yeah, because then they're not going to, even though Judy's had a mixed bag here, you're not going to release him.
There's no trade market for him. Right
no,
now.
there isn't.
And if people at home are screaming Luke Floria is better than Jerry Jeudy, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just projecting who's going to be on the roster.
Yeah, sometimes this is a cruel game, man. It's a rough business, and I just hate it. For Luke, he's worked hard. He's done all the right things. He got hurt last year.
If they didn't have the dilemmas that they have at tight end in a corner, I would have Luke on this side of the bubble. I just have him one guy on the wrong side of the bubble right now, and I'm prepared to be wrong.
Well, we'll see what happens, but that's going to be one to watch for sure on Sunday.
Yeah, so it also means, real quick, Gage Larvadan and Malachi Corley, also guys, not making the roster.
And you know what? I'm okay with them. I'm not.
And they'll be in the same boat. They'll probably all be on the practice squad. They'll be in the special teams mix, return game, however it ends up shaking out. So at tight end, obviously, Fannin's going to be on the team, and obviously Blake Whiteheart has to be on the team. Yeah. I don't know what you do with Joe Royer. He's had no camp, so even if he's on the team, he can't play right away. He's not going to help you.
There's a designation, though.
There would be a reserve left squad.
Right. And
so he did show up for camp, which is why he wasn't eligible for that.
Do you think that was all part of the plan in the beginning?
No, I think we tried to get
designation.
No, because it's not a designation you want to have to use.
No, I know you don't want to, but it's an available option where you're not going to.
Now the thing is, if they did have to cut him, they would be confident that no one would pick him up because of this mystery. And then if he got right and got back,
and we were talking off the air, and I'll just bring it to the show so everybody at home can hear it. Like we don't know a thing.
We don't know. Chris has done some digging. I've done some digging. We don't know.
This is amazing. Yeah. I mean, we all...
Especially because they went to camp like July 28th, and now it's August 28th.
Yeah.
And he showed up to camp. He reported to camp.
Yes.
With the rookies not been seen or heard from since.
And there's been no resolution. There's been no... The Browns are saying nothing. So we're all kind of in the same dark boat and waiting to see what happens.
And this is a guy that was going to make the team.
Yeah, he was sure he was going to make the team.
And so then it goes back to fullback. Carson Ryan, who's a tight end and a fullback, who's the definition of a bubble guy. He has to make it for now because your other veteran fullback hasn't been there and none of your tight ends have been available.
So his versatility will serve him well.
Yeah, and I mean, he doesn't look like an NFL player to me, but he's got to make this 53.
He's a body, warm bodies.
That's right. So
that's
tight end, they need a blocking tight end. We have not seen how they want to use Harold Fannin because they have not had the guys to put out there to be able to use Harold Fannin H-back, fullback, split out wide, hiding behind their big tight end.
I think you need a pass-catching threat at tight end to help Harold Fannin.
That's right. The guy's going to be wide open.
And Joe Royer was all of that.
Yeah.
Yes,
he was going to be the perfect complement.
Guy for that spot, and now he's like in this mystery land.
Yes, nobody thought Joe Royer was going to catch 50 passes. He was going to be more like the 50th guy, but he was going to have a role on this team with a chance to grow into becoming a consistent NFL player. There's no doubt about it, and we don't know what's going to go on.
Just another page to the Cleveland Book of Drama.
Every year there's a draft pick that
always. What happened to this guy? Whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's keep it moving.
Go to line next?
Offensive line, I got them taking 9. Starting 5, Austin Barber's a lot, going to be starting sooner than later. Parker Brailsford, the center, who missed all of training camp, he's getting back. He's a lock. He has a thumb injury to his snapping hand. That's where it gets complicated. So Barber being viewed as a guard and Barber being a lock. I think DeJuan Jones almost certainly makes the team as the top backup.
Didn't he have a false start yesterday or a penalty?
He's struggled.
He had something yesterday.
But this team has an investment in him and has seen him play well. They're not going to give up on him for nothing, right? He has a year left on his contract. He plays a super important position.
Sure.
So then that leaves really one spot. And if I'm wrong in one place, it might be KT Leviston because he has really struggled. But viewing it now, KT Leviston versus Zach Zinter, Leviston can at least play 2 positions. Zinter has not played one well.
I watched Zach a couple of plays. I ISO'd on him last night and to me, he looked better. I don't know that I
think he's looked better.
Yeah. So but I mean, he's trending in the right direction.
It's going to be Zinter or Leviston for that spot, unless they can find an external upgrade, which
is possible.
You've remade the whole line already, and you have very few sure things going forward. I mean, you hope that your 2 rookie tackles are sure things. Everybody else is here for not for a long time, probably.
Sure.
Right. Okay. So go to the defensive line, and this is where it's interesting because Alex Wright is a huge loss. And Mike Hall is now cameoing at defensive end.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. So, you brought in Derek Barnett, the veteran defensive end. He's going to make the team. Isaiah McGuire is a starter. You have an undrafted rookie, Corday Sidnor, who, again, is right on the bubble.
He's looked good, though.
Yeah. He and Floria are right there. They're either the first 2 in or the first 2 out.
Okay.
Right? And it's like, if you think you're going to lose him to another team, you keep him. He's not ready to play right now, but you brought in Derek Barnett, 30-year-old former first-rounder. Let him learn. I
don't want to knock you off your track here because you're on a nice roll, but if there's a team that would keep guys that aren't ready now but will be, this is it.
That's right, Jay. We could do this for hours, but here's the tiebreaker. Are you young and under contract? You stay.
Yeah.
Right? Kansas City, it's different. Seattle, it's different.
Of course
for
it
Cleveland,
is.
this weekend.
We're not doing anything this year.
Right. That's right. You keep
so
the younger guy.
You've got placeholders with guys that you think can develop into something.
They also have a defensive tackle, Kalia Davis, got hurt on the first day of training camp and has not been seen. He makes my 53 because they invested in him.
What's his status, though? Will he be ready?
We don't know.
Mid-September?
We don't know, so we're guessing here.
Wow.
He's been in uniform, or he's been out there to practice, but he hasn't practiced since the very first day of camp.
Gosh.
So sometimes you make the 53 and then you get put on IR. That's the complication.
That's true. You're right.
At linebacker, they're super thin. They have 2 starters and they have a bunch of young guys fighting for spots. The 5th-round rookie Jefferson, he had the interception last night.
He flashed last night for me.
He's on the team. And then if you keep 6, it's Watson, who you drafted a couple of years ago on the 3rd day. If you don't keep 6, Watson's out. That one's pretty simple.
Are you getting any inclination that they would keep 6? Because it's a position that they're thin at, and I think it would be a stretch to keep 6.
So you might keep 5 and keep guys on the practice squad and call them up for kickoff coverage if you need them. And again, like how many safeties are healthy, how many corners are healthy, how many tight ends, because these are the guys that play kickoff coverage when you get to the game.
I know we're going to save quarterbacks for last. This is, though, outside of quarterback, this next group, good luck.
Yeah. So you have Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
Canton. Or close.
Yeah.
You have Tyson Campbell plus starter, good player.
And then
do you have Miles Harden? We don't know. And then you got nobody else. So Mekhi Blackmon was traded at this time last year because the Vikings were done with him. He went to Indy. He stunk. Indy cut him the other day. The Browns said, "We'll take him." They claimed
Here he is again.
What about Michael Coates?
Michael Coates is hurt. So
yeah, what was that? Do we know?
His right foot is in a boot, so ankle or foot.
I thought he was looking good.
He was.
I thought he looked
now,
really good.
Is he ready to be on your 53? I don't know. In this situation, he probably is. So I'd left him off not knowing the injury status. But again, he's right there that if he's healthy, you probably can't let another team get him because they're not the only team searching for corners. And then Trey Avery, a guy who's been around, who plays on the special teams. He and Coates are kind of the bubble there. You just need guys. You cannot. You have to have at least 5 or 6 corners, and they don't have that many. They have 2.5.
I noticed you didn't mention Ross as the guy that was on the bubble.
No, Ross has struggled last night.
My goodness,
kind of brought it to the forefront. So at safety, you do feel good. I think Donovan McMillan makes the team.
Yeah,
the 3 guys will play. We know who they are: Delpit, Hickman, and Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who's raw but very good. And then you're not in a position to keep anybody for a specialty. You have your Horquist probably makes it again as the punter.
Yeah.
Andre Schmidt had an outstanding preseason.
Yeah, I thought both
you feel good about the local guy Sonahara as the long snapper.
Yeah.
So you're
and now
solid
for the quarterbacks.
And
Wait,
now
before you go to quarterback, I want to just say one thing really quickly. Build the drama. I want to say this: you can gauge where you are in the pantheon of current NFL teams based on cut down decisions. Your upper echelon teams, 50 are set in stone. And they're just trying to upgrade 3 more positions. And it's a very clear, you can write down in one sentence what their cut day dilemmas are. Yours look like a book.
It's funny you say that.
And there we are.
When I got to the press box last night, I took the flip card and put L's next to everybody that I thought was a lock, and I only got to 40.
Wow.
Now, some of them was okay. Of course, another offensive lineman makes it. Of course, but like that I know are going to be on the team, I only got to 40.
And when you're talking about the upper echelon teams, they're at 50 locks.
Yeah, that's right. There's three either way. And the Browns were just there 2 years ago.
I know they were, which is stunning to me.
Yeah.
That a couple of years ago, our cut day talk was like, well, really, I mean, it's pretty much cut and dry. We know who's here. We know who's not. Mm-hmm. Not anymore.
Not anymore. So I am of the belief, and I'm prepared to be wrong, that the Browns are going to keep all 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah. I kind of feel that too.
I think they have that idea in their mind. I think they are flexible because they're not going to trade Dylan Gabriel for nothing. And if they believe even 1% that some team is waiting to take Taylon Green as a scout team QB or maybe to play a different position, they probably have the belief that this is our guy. We have made at least a small investment in him. We don't know what our room's going to look at. We always treated this year as year 0 more than year 1 for him because they're foolishly doing this Watson dance.
Yeah.
We can't expose Taylon Green to waivers, at least not right now. So I think they're going to do 4, and the only way is if there's an injury or a crazy trade scenario that presents itself, and we can talk about them because really, like QB3 in this room, Dylan Gabriel probably is the one that would get more trade calls than anyone else. No one's giving up anything for Green. They would maybe claim him.
Right.
But someone may give up a pick for Gabriel, who I agree with you. I think of all of them, he's the most attractive.
Right.
The question is, would it be enough to have the Browns because they put a 3rd in him, so you think they want a 3rd back?
And I don't think they're getting a 3rd back.
No, they're not getting a 3rd back.
So you're going to eat that.
And they're probably not getting a 5th back, but that's about where it would start, Chris, for them to even consider it. So, hey, is someone offering like a legit blocking tight end? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know who has the surplus and who's in position to do that for a guy who's a backup quarterback.
Sure.
So, like I said, I come back to the Kenny Pickett example of last year where the Raiders went to this weekend not needing a veteran backup. Then they did. They gave a 5.
And how many games are yet to be played in the final?
I think there's 10 tonight and 2 tomorrow.
So there is a possibility that somebody could lose their backup quarterback in these final preseason games.
Absolutely.
And so that's something to watch. If you want to sit home and you don't care about the games, just look at what's happening with
it could also work the other way. The Browns could go into this weekend thinking we're only going to keep 3. We're going to make a decision. And then someone loses one but doesn't want to trade. Now we're keeping all 4. We're making them trade to us.
Sure, it's a piece.
Yeah, so that's why it's fluid up until Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what they decide. I'm by no means am I going to say whatever they decide is the right call. In fact, I would probably go so far as to say whatever they do would likely not be the right call because that's what their history is. But
so I would say that there is a 40-ish% chance that next year when we're having this, that Taylon Green is the only of the current room that's on the roster.
I could 100% see that.
Right.
I mean, he's the one that, again, he has a skill set that nobody else has.
Right. So how does that wrong? Well, if Dylan is established as the backup and stays that way, or if Shador wins the job and Shador's still going to start the most games this year. I think
there's a legitimate chance all 4 of these guys take snaps this year.
Sure, history
I really
says.
do. I think
history says that's going to happen.
If you put a package in for Green, and you just want to get into the defense's head on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, he's a real option. He's a rangy guy that can get the corner. He can hit a corner better than any of our guys in the roster.
3 years in a row, they've had at least 12 times since 1999. They've had at least 3 different players start games.
That's insane.
12 times.
12 times.
In the new era.
That's why the jersey gets longer and longer and longer.
And that's why I just don't trust him to do the right thing. I mean, the proof is, we have the proof.
So, if I'm off on one guy, that could cause a chain reaction of being off. But I feel really good, like, that I'm in the ballpark there, that Floria and Zinter are kind of the 2 guys that can go either way, and that they need to seek external upgrades at corner and at tight end to even function, let alone think about winning.
I asked Zach in the commercial break, did you ever get all 53? I think it was a commercial, and you said 1 year I did. If you get 53 out of 53 this year, I'm going to start entering your name to become a general manager in the NFL. This is not 1 or 2 tough calls. This is 20 tough calls.
A bunch of tough calls.
And so I can't wait to see what percentage that you get right. But this is a very, very tough cut down day for the wrong reasons for the Cleveland Browns.
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to wrap up the first hour of the Cleveland Sports Show on this Friday when we come back. Mike told me to tease it generically, which means